Welcome to A Taste of Thai with Chef Jamie. My name is Caitlin Hennessy and I'm the Program Coordinator at Global Connections. Throughout this evening, we encourage you to ask questions while Chef is cooking. If you have any concerns about how your product is looking or a way to follow through on the recipe, please ask us in the chat box. You can also comment, and if you have any IT issues, please ask one of our moderators in the chat box and we'll work to help you. At the end of this program, please remember to fill out the survey in the chat box. That way we can better improve our future programming and bring things that are interesting to you. For future programming, please go to connections.wsu.edu. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to our kitchen. My name is Jamie Callison. I'm the executive chef here for the School of Hospitality Business Management, and I welcome you. I kind of think about this as cooking with friends. Hopefully a lot of you are cooking and you did your mise en place. I know this looks a little intimidating here. But I definitely want to introduce Britley, who's going to be, and she can introduce herself. She's going to be my assistant today.
Hi, I'm Britley Barrett. I'm a senior in the hospitality program. I've been working with Chef for about 2.5 years now, and I'm very excited to make some Thai food with you all today.
And it's nice that she said that with a smile instead of like a sentence, right? Working with me for 2.5 years. We're very excited. Hopefully all of you watched the video for the mise en place. Mise en place for us means everything in its place, everything organized. As we go along tonight, please send in questions and anything that you have in terms of something's not going right. If I make any mistakes, it's only to show you what not to do. And sometimes we'll do that on purpose, so I'm just kidding, hopefully. I'm gonna start with rice. The way I would like this to work tonight is I'm gonna kind of work along with you and kind of help you to decide what to do first, so that by the time we get done with this meal, everything will be done at the same time. So with our rice, if we're using jasmine rice, we're going to use 2 cups of rice and 2.5 cups of water. We're going to rinse this one time, and then we're going to basically take our rice cooker and put it over, and make sure you push down cook on this. If you're not using jasmine rice, make sure you read the package of the rice so that you are familiar. Every rice variety has a different amount of liquid. On the jasmine, I like using 1 to 1.5, so 1 part rice to 1.5 parts water. For like a sticky rice, a lot of times it's 1 to 1.25. So important to read that package for at least the first time when you try it. So something that was not in the agenda tonight, and I just kind of added this in just because that's the way I work, is I wanted to talk a little bit about the ingredients in curry. It's kind of fun to make your own curry. A lot of times people use a pesto mortar here. This is not the proper tool here. Ours actually just busted, so I'm not going to make it in the pesto mortar, but I'm kind of using this as an illustration. I have some coriander seeds and cumin seeds that I toasted here, and we would typically put that in this pesto mortar after we toasted them, and then you kind of grind it down. It's important that when you're using a piece of equipment like that, that of course it's usually marble on marble or granite on granite, and you're actually pressing it, not just pounding it. Sometimes if you pound it, you can actually start to chip the inside. You can use force, but just be a little careful with it. So basically we just kind of grind this in here. And you can really smell, well you can't, I can. You can really smell the aromas of the cumin and the coriander. And my goal tonight was to try to, everything that I have here, I was able to purchase in Pullman. So, and hopefully today I kind of noticed some of the Thai stuff is running out. So hopefully a lot of people are cooking this at home and was able to get the ingredients. So I have my coriander and cumin. I'm going to pour that into, I'm going to take a little shortcut here. And so I have my shallots here, and we are going to post, this recipe is not posted online, but we will post this recipe for you. It's an absolutely amazing curry. I have my shallots, my chopped ginger, turmeric, and then I have my Thai chilies. When you're working with these, make sure you're wearing gloves. These are very, very hot, and the seeds inside are extremely hot. So I took those and I de-seeded them and chopped them real rough. You don't have to cut anything exact size because you're going to be blending all this together. I have some garlic, and then I have some lemongrass. And the lemongrass, you want to use the white part. So this part here gets really hard at the very end here. Inside of here is softer. So what I usually do is I cut this, I split it, remove the first couple layers, and then I chop up the inside. And you have to be careful. This stays pretty coarse, so blending it is very, very important. So my lemongrass in there. And I think my wife was planning on using this, this mixer because I stole this from home this morning because it's more size that you would use at home. So I got a little text right before this shot saying I'm known for stealing equipment and sometimes not bringing it back. So I'm just going to chop this. We're going to add a little bit of lime juice, salt, and a little bit of oil. We do not want to make this oily, but we're going to have to put a little oil in there so that we can actually blend this up. So this little KitchenAid is a great machine. However, it's still not very fine. So what I had to do with this is I actually took it, this is the same mix right here, and I put it on the cutting board and I chopped it really fine. The other thing that I would recommend if you're making your own curry and you have a Vitamix is after you add your coconut milk with your curry, is putting it in the Vitamix or that type of blender and blending it up to make sure it's nice and smooth. Okay. Now we're going to get into starting our curry. So it's very important that you don't want to start your noodles for your pad thai. You don't want to get any of those things going. Your peanut sauce, however, you can get that going. I'm not going to demo that. That's a very simple process. You get all your ingredients together, you heat them, you add your crunchy peanut butter, and you just set that aside room temperature. You're going to use part of that, and you should have already had this done if you did your homework, hopefully. You're going to use part of that peanut sauce for your pad thai sauce, and hopefully your pad thai sauce, if you're cooking along with us tonight, is already done. If you did not visit those videos, please, after this video, go back and look at that mise en place because we went over some of these techniques. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our coconut milk and we're going to pour it in our pan. And we're going to add a little bit of our curry. I mean, all of our curry with a little bit of the coconut milk. I do this because what I want to do now is I want to form a paste. It's important, we do not want to get a big piece of curry like this in our curry dish. So we want to make sure that we work out all those chunks of the curry paste. And the curry paste that I purchased is a really good product. This Malpoi product, great product, has great flavor, and this is available at just any grocery store that I've seen. So it was available at both our local grocery stores here in town. So you really want to work out all those lumps. You're going to add in the rest of your coconut milk. I add in just a tiny bit of cream, and the reason I do that is because as it heats up, and that's not traditional, but that cream or half and half kind of helps keep it nice and smooth. Of course, if you're kind of watching what you eat, probably not the right thing to add the heavy cream, but just a little bit goes a long ways. So I have my heavy cream in there. Then I'm going to add my sugar. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this to a simmer before we add our other products. I have my diced potatoes here, my chicken. We want to really make sure we mix it really well and that we stay right with it. We do not want this to burn. We have some of our other products prepped for this, and we're not going to add those till later. The zucchini will cook really fast. We have a question.
We have one question from the chat box that asks, why not pour all of the coconut milk in at once?
Great question. You want to form a paste. So if you add a little bit of the coconut milk in there, you're forming that paste. If you add all the coconut milk in there, it's really going to be hard to create a smooth product. And it's going to be, you might get a big chunk of that curry paste in there. This is really thick paste. And if you don't mix it as a paste with just a little bit of the coconut milk, you can end up with a huge chunk of the curry paste in there, which could be very problematic when you're eating it because you'd have a bite that would be really spicy. So we have our zucchini here, and then we have our fish sauce, lemon juice, and our chiffonade of Thai basil. We do not want to add any of that stuff until later, especially the lemon and the fish sauce. You want that to be a nice, fresh flavor in there. So this is starting to and you want to stay right with this. And the beauty about this induction is the sides of my handles are not getting hot. If this was a gas burner, this would be totally different. So now, this is starting to simmer. I'm going to add my chicken. Carrots and potatoes. And to be able to tell when this is done, all you're going to need to do is actually test the potato. As soon as the potato is tender, the chicken will be cooked. So we're going to let that simmer. Definitely bring that to a simmer. And we're going to let that simmer for about 20 minutes. So now we're going to go into our summer rolls. Or some people call them summer rolls. Some people call them salad rolls. I'm going to have Britley show how to make these. She's an expert after today's labs, right? So we have, while she's getting everything set up, we have our spring roll skins, and she's going to show you and explain how to warm those up. And then we're going to get all of our product mixed together. And then these are great because they're nice, light, fresh. And you can put, today we're going to stick to vegetables and avocado, but you can put shrimp, pork, teriyaki. It's a salad roll, so you can make this however you would like. So, Britley, you ready to take over?
Ready.
All right.
All right, hi everyone. So we're working on the summer rolls right now. These are really fun because they're really healthy. I know my mom likes making these because they're really good for you, and you can really use whatever you have on hand, whatever vegetables. Also, you can add like teriyaki chicken, pork, whatever you want to them. So they're very versatile. So today we have shredded carrots, cilantro, some noodles that we chopped up pretty well, cabbage, beans, green onions, and then so this is the base for our mix, and I'm also adding in some fish sauce and lime juice as well to add in some flavors. And I'm just going to mix this up here with my hands. Make sure it's all incorporated. Don't want like chunks of carrots or anything in there. So it's nice and uniform throughout, like this. And once that's done, we can work on the rice paper. So when you're heating up the rice paper, I have really hot water right here and then room temperature water as well. The temperature you want it is about the same as a hot tub. So you want it hot, but not too hot that like you can't bear it. So here it's still really hot, so I'm gonna add a little bit more hot water and then a little bit of cold water to cool it down just a touch. Just like that, like a hot tub. Hopefully everyone knows what that feels like. So then, you also probably noticed that I have a green cutting board on top of this wood. It's really important that you have these on plastic because they'll stick to the wood and you're just gonna have a horrible time. So let me grab a towel. So it's important that you have your mix all ready to go before you put the it's important that you have your rice paper or your mix all ready to go before you work on your little papers. Otherwise, these are going to get too soft or dry, and it's not just going to work out how you want. So we're just going to set it right in the water like this. It only takes about 20 seconds to get soft enough. Don't walk away from it. Keep an eye on it because if it gets too soft, then it's going to tear and your rolls aren't going to turn out quite how you like them. And you can see already, it turned from something really stiff into a nice, malleable paper. And another thing that I learned from lots of practice today is keep it apart, because it's just like saran wrap, how if it folds over, you're not getting it apart again. So keep it nice and spread out, dry it off a touch, set it on your cutting board. You can kind of see how it's not too wrinkly or anything there. Next, I'm going to add in some of this lettuce. And it's important to take like all of the spine, the hard part out of this, because anything that's not chopped up fine enough, anything that's extra pokey is going to bust right through it, and you're gonna get vegetables everywhere. So I'm gonna add a nice bed of this lettuce, just like so. Next, some avocado. And like I said, you can add whatever you want to this. It's not a set thing. It's kind of like sushi. You can put whatever, salmon, chicken, shrimp, anything that you want. So it's really fun. Don't want to fill it up too much. I had a problem with that earlier today. And this also takes a lot of practice. So if you can't get it right the first time, just stick with it, keep working on it. So you start at the back and you wrap it around really tight. If you've ever made sushi, it's similar, that you want to keep it all in on the first wrap. And then the most important part is to fold the sides in really well, otherwise it's going to burst out of the sides and all fall apart everywhere. So fold in the sides, wrap it one more time, make sure the sides are folded in, keep wrapping, and there, I broke it. To show you what not to do. Okay, so let's try another one. Same idea, let it sit for a few seconds. Thank you.
So these are great too. A lot of times what I do is I'll take these when people come over our house, and I won't even put the stuff in a wrapper. I'll just put out a bunch of bib lettuce like this, and then have the shrimp and the peanuts and all the stuff on the side. Just start with just that amount. Okay. And then I'll just have the stuff on the side, and then people can make their own. Have the peanut sauce, cooked shrimp, cooked pork, and really just make it kind of a fun, interactive dish. And this is definitely a family favorite here. And part of the reason for the bib lettuce that really helps too is when you're rolling it, as she's rolling it right now, is you use the bib lettuce to kind of help. And you just want to, as you're rolling it, you don't want to put a lot of pressure, but you want to tuck and roll. It's kind of a funny thing to say. But every time you roll it, you want to tuck it in just a tiny bit without putting a lot of pressure down. And so just you're kind of, see how you got this little loose part right here? You just, as she's rolling it, see how she's tucking it in a little bit? Yes.
We have a question that asks, would you say that the folding technique or the texture of the wrap is more important?
Well, both. And the folding technique is very important, because if you put too much pressure, and look right here, I mean, this is beautiful. She did an amazing job here. And the lettuce helps. These wrappers too, when you buy them, that's a great question, is you see how this one's kind of cracked here? Sometimes when these are put away at the grocery store, sorry, it's covering up my face here, you'll see a package that's all cracked like this. This is not usable here. This one, we were very fortunate when we bought these. These came in all beautiful. Some of them are cracked a little bit, but we were very fortunate the quality that we received, because sometimes these can be a nightmare if you don't get if you get them and they're old and you don't get the right brand. So definitely be careful. If you see that inside the package, don't buy it. So, and the nice thing about these two is you can make them ahead of time, and that's kind of how we're timing this right here. Is that we want, while your curry's cooking and your rice is cooking, that gives you some time to put together these summer rolls, or salad rolls are called multiple things. And so these can be made ahead of time and then put on a plate and then wrapped with plastic wrap and put in the refrigerator as you're finishing up all your other items. So we're going to take these. And it's important to have a sharp knife. Does anybody have any, is anybody struggling with these at home? It'd be great to hear some stories or hear how people are doing. I know that these can be a lot of fun, but they can also be problematic. Now, if you have your bib lettuce, you can always tell people that are coming over that that's how you planned it too. But this is kind of like phyllo. It can go really, really good or it can go really bad. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to cut these. When you're cutting these, you need to dampen this towel just a little bit. If you get a damp towel and you have your sharp knife and you just rub a little bit of water on that towel, it's really going to help where the starches from here, they don't stick. Because if this gets sticky and your knife is gets sticky, especially if you're cutting a lot of these, it can be very problematic. So I don't want it wet, but just get it a little damp. So then I'm going to cut these and see how nice those are. She did a great job. And then you can kind of display these looking out here. Is anybody out there having success with this?
Yes, we have a comment that one person's 13-year-old is rocking the rolling of the summer rolls.
Well, if that person's in Pullman and they ever want, when we do a big event and they ever want a job, maybe come and see us, because I'm sure my culinary students would love to have somebody that's really good at these things. These things are kind of a special technique. We're going to serve this with a little bit of the peanut sauce. Your peanut sauce will solidify a little bit. I know some, when you first make it, say this is way too watery. As it gets cooler, the peanut butter will solidify. And your sauce, actually, because this was refrigerated, it definitely got really kind of hard. You can always warm that back up again. With the peanut butter, you got to be careful because you'll start separating out the oils. I don't know if you can see inside this pot here. We have a nice simmer for this chicken here. This is probably about 5 minutes away. We're gonna check to see if it's fork tender. Yes, really, can I get a fork?
We have a question. Are these wraps better at room temperature or pre-chilled?
The wraps are definitely better when you get them at room temperature. You can definitely chill them, and you don't want them. I think as they start to warm up, the flavors of the vegetables and everything start to come out. So I don't like them. If you get them done ahead of time and you put them in your refrigerator, I'd pull them out even like 5 minutes before you're going to eat them. Just let them start to warm up a little bit, and you'll definitely get a better flavor. Sorry, I'm having typical technical difficulties here. So these induction burners are absolutely amazing. They're great because you can set them and they usually work really well. That one just kind of went off a little bit, but you want to start checking your potato. And your potato, basically, when it's fork tender. Fork tender does not mean that it's like a mashed potato. So these are definitely still a little hard. When these are fork tender, they'll definitely they'll be easy to poke through, and see how I'm still having resistance there. So this is definitely not done. When the potatoes are fork tender, the chicken's going to be done. So what I'm going to do now is this here has had raw chicken. I've touched raw chicken with this. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to bring over another pan to start stirring it with because the chicken's definitely cooked. Yes, we have another question.
Does the temperature of the peanut sauce matter? Should it be served warm, chilled, or room temperature?
Which sauce?
The peanut sauce.
The peanut sauce is a lot better at room temperature. When it's chilled, like you saw our peanut sauce, it really became really solidified. Room temperature, or even just a little bit warm. But if you notice when you made the peanut sauce, if you made it to make your to start your evening here, it was really runny at first. So you definitely do not want your peanut sauce hot because it would just run right off your summer roll. The beauty of the summer roll / salad rolls is they're so fresh and the ingredients are so amazing in those. They don't have a whole lot of flavor. When you dip it in that peanut sauce is when it all comes together. So that peanut sauce being the right consistency, not being too heavy like mine was right out of the refrigerator. Again, joking around, just showing you what not to do, right? but the having it that kind of room temperature is going to be a lot more enjoyable with your summer roll. So we're going to go into the pad thai here. As this, actually, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to go ahead. My curry is about 5 minutes from being done, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my zucchini. I'm going to stir that around. Because zucchini is only going to take about 5 minutes, and I want that to have really nice texture. So here, for my pad thai, I have my oil, my shrimp. The shrimp, some people like to cook it whole. I like to cut it up a little bit, and the reason I like to cut it up is you kind of get, you're able to get a bite of shrimp in almost every bite of your pad thai. So I have my wok, and the wok is definitely set on not high temperature, but kind of medium high. Yes, we have another question? I like these questions. Keep them coming.
Can we add pre-cooked chicken to the curry instead of raw chicken?
What's that?
Can we add pre-cooked chicken to the curry?
You can add pre-cooked chicken. The beautiful thing about this dish is most of you have made a beef stew. This is a stewing process without the pre-browning. That chicken being slow cooked in those flavors and those aromatics are going to add a lot of flavor to your chicken. So starting with pre-cooked chicken is going to kind of stop those flavors from really going into that chicken. So I would heavily recommend to start with the raw chicken and as we call it in the industry, we want those flavors to meld together. We want them to kind of cook together. And in this, the potatoes, if I put cooked potatoes in there and cooked chicken and all those ingredients, they wouldn't pick up that slow cooking in that broth. So you really, as much as possible, you can definitely start with cooked chicken, but I would start with the raw ingredients. You'd have a better result. So we have our green onions here, our peanuts, and what I really try to do is, if you've noticed, is I try to line up the ingredients as if I was getting ready to cook them. So I kind of look at my recipe and how I'm supposed to put those ingredients in. I have my oil, my shrimp, my garlic. Then I have some of my other ingredients, my green onions, my peanuts, and my sprouts. And then I have my sauce here all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get my garnish ready too. For my lime, for my garnish, what I like to do, and this is washed, is what I like to do is cut it in half. This way, I can use half of this for juicing, and then I get really nice wedges by just cutting and kind of turning this. Then again, this very end piece you can use for juicing too. So you get a really nice looking wedge doing it that way. And if chicken curry definitely has a really nice simmer right now. The smelling, I wish we had smell-o-vision where you can actually smell what's going on here. This curry has those of you that are cooking at home, you have that. And again, I definitely recommend when I post the recipe for the homemade curry to really try that. The aromatics with that lemongrass is absolutely amazing. So I have my saute pan here. Very important that that's hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our oil in here. And a way to tell that it's at least somewhat hot is you can shake your pan and the oil will pull together. So then I'm going to add my shrimp. And what you can do, sorry, I'm going to back up right here. I had to move my pad thai noodles, so I'm going to have to slow down here for a second. Pad thai noodles for the wonderful photographers here to get a good shot. So again, keeping all that in front of you. The pad thai noodles will not take that long. You have your boiling water. You take it off the heat or turn it off the heat. You do not boil this like pasta. It's very, very important. You drop the noodles in there. And we're going to stir these around. Very important. What I do with the pad thai noodles is I'll actually pick them up and move them around quite a bit. You do not want these sticking together. It's very important to move these around a lot. See how they have a tendency to stick together? So I'm actually picking them up and dropping them back down in the water. Very important. If you just drop these in there, you're going to end up with a pot full of pasta that's all stuck together, and it will be unusable. So I spend just a couple minutes with these here. These will not take that long. See how they're still having a tendency to kind of stick together? So moving those around. And then we're going to need a colander here in a minute. So definitely have a colander ready. And just definitely work those. So now, as my curry's finishing up, I have my lime juice, fish sauce, and my chiffonade basil. These things you definitely do not want to add to the last couple minutes of the cooking. And if you see the pot that I'm cooking this into, it's definitely something I probably should have explained at first, was you don't want to use too big of a pot for cooking your curry, this small of a dish. You want something as much as possible, less surface, and a little bit taller of a pot, and that way you get everything covered up and you don't get a lot of evaporation. And making sure you're just kind of slow cooking that, just a nice low simmer, is really important. We want those flavors to develop. The lime juice and the fish sauce are amazing. This is the really finishing touch to this dish. Thai food, the beauty of Thai food and why we like Thai food so much, most those of you, if you're watching this, you probably enjoy Thai food, is you get that combination of that kind of sour, the sweet, the spicy, and all those flavors going on is what really make us crave that, and that saltiness makes us crave that Thai food. So we have our lime juice, and always fresh squeezed lime juice, fish sauce, and then we have our chiffonade of our basil, Thai basil. And again, all those are going to be fresh, kind of last minute. And you can definitely tell a difference if those have cooked for a long time. It won't be, it's not a horrible thing. You will definitely lose that freshness that we're looking for in that curry dish. And you can definitely, if you just are cooking along with me and you just put that fish sauce and that lime juice in there, you can smell the aromas of the acidity and everything going on in that pot, which are, I've been cooking Thai food for 2 days for my demos in class, and this still is exciting, just those aromatics. Thai food is one of those unique international dishes that really, Thailand really embraced multiple different cultures to create their own food. And from a lot of influence from China, India, Vietnam, Burma, all the local areas, and also on to the east and the west. You will hardly, and I was able to take a group of students to Thailand, you will never find in an authentic Thai restaurant chopsticks. You have a lot of sauce. They're going to use a spoon and sometimes a fork. But it's if you go into an authentic Thai restaurant and they say, and you ask for chopsticks, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Because why would you try to, and I love eating with chopsticks. I worked with a Japanese chef for 3 years. But why would you have something with this much sauce and try to eat that with chopsticks? So that's part of the tradition there. And they've just, which is beautiful because they've embraced all these different cultures. So for our noodles, we want these to be just slightly cooked. It's very important when you're doing something like this and you're finishing it in the sauce, which we're going to do here in a minute, that you do not overcook your noodles to start with. We want to finish those in the sauce. And I kind of relate this to spaghetti. A lot of us, growing up, my mom would make spaghetti. She'd pour the sauce over the top. All the sauce would run down. The pasta would taste plain. The sauce was great. My mom was an amazing cook. However, I've been taking students to Italy for 9 years now. It's so much better when that pasta finished cooking in the sauce, and you get that flavor of the sauce cooked into the pasta. And that's the exact same thing we want to do with this pad thai. If you overcook your noodles to start with, you're going to have to basically just toss them in the sauce and plate them, and we don't want to do that. So we want to really watch the pasta, and the only way to really tell is by feel. No throwing against the wall like we heard. This has definitely still got just a little bit of time. And by the time this is still, it's just a little firm. By the time I get this ready, it's going to be absolutely perfect. So I'm going to heat my pan up again. And you don't want to get this to the smoking point. You want to get it just to where the oil really starts to pull together. I don't know if you can see in here, but the oil will kind of, if you move it around, it'll just pull right together. And again, it definitely needs to warm up a little bit more here. And the shrimp, the reason I like shrimp, I like all food, unfortunately sometimes, but the reason I really like shrimp for pad thai is we are going to create a shrimp oil in our pad thai. So as the shrimp cooks, the shrimp adds flavor to the oil, and that's going to add flavor throughout the pad thai. I mean, it's great with chicken, it's great with other things, but shrimp for pad thai is by far my favorite. Okay, it looks like it's getting hot now. So what I can do is I can start with one piece of shrimp and test it. Make sure that it's, as a chef, the sizzling sound is a magical sound. So we want to hear that really kind of popping and crackling sound. The beauty of using a wok too is the splatter is all going to happen within the pan. And you can hear this. I don't know if you can, I'll put my microphone down so maybe you can hear the sound there. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's that sound is amazing, and you have to hear that. You do not want to basically boil, or because if you do it too low of heat or put too much shrimp in there, it's going to steam and your shrimp's going to be tough. We want that shrimp to be nice and tender. So as the shrimp starts to cook, it's going to turn a reddish color. We have our eggs here, and a lot of people told me they've never heard of pad thai with eggs in it. I went to Thailand, worked with an amazing chef. She put eggs into the pad thai. I thought it was the best pad thai I ever had, so I put eggs in it. Some of you also probably noticed that it was very surprising that there was ketchup in the recipe for the pad thai. This chef told me that the flavorings in ketchup, I'm not anti-ketchup. I'm not a big fan of putting ketchup on everything. It's tomato, acid, and sugar. If we're creating a recipe for somebody cooking at home, I don't want you to have to buy a large can of tomato paste or tomato puree to make one batch of pad thai. If you already have ketchup in the refrigerator, you can use that ketchup and not have to buy that whole can just for that. And a lot of times go bad before you use it again. Of course, if I was working in a hotel and we were making lots of pad thai, I would use tomato puree and just add a little bit more vinegar and sugar to my recipe. So if you're surprised by a chef using ketchup, that's my excuse. So the shrimp, if you can see, this is nice and reddish colored. I'm going to add my garlic. Very important to add garlic at the very end before you add your other ingredients. The garlic will burn, and we don't want it to burn. We want to just release the oils in the garlic. And I can definitely, and you can smell it. We've mixed our eggs up really good, really well. We're going to pour that into the pan. This is an important stage. We want to make sure that we're mixing this and not creating a scrambled egg look. We want there to be egg in here. And I know, again, this is a recipe that has a lot of egg in there, but it's definitely one of my favorite pad thais. Really, would you like to strain off the noodles from? So we're going to cook the egg just till it starts to set. We don't want it to be runny when we add our other product in there. Right now it's looking like the best scrambled eggs ever with the shrimp in here. We're going to add our green onions, some of our peanuts, bean sprouts, and then our sauce. We're going to mix this all up together. Before I add my noodles in here, I want to get this to a good simmer. Again, everything's basically already cooked. But we want to get it hot, get everything hot, the sauce hot and everything in here, and get this to a simmer, and then we're going to add our noodles in here. I know this is a big bowl, but we need to do this so you can see what this is. This is probably a little overkill for this amount of pad thai, but we want to do it just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so our sauce is starting to simmer here. We definitely want to cook. We have another question.
The question is, when a recipe calls for heavy cream, is it half and half or heavy whipping cream?
That is, whether you use heavy cream or half and half, both will have somewhat the same effect, but they definitely will, the heavy cream will definitely give a richer cream flavor, and you can use less and it'll definitely work really well. That needs to be a dietary decision. For the curry, you can even use light coconut milk and no heavy cream or no half and half. So again, that's a decision, but the heavy cream will definitely make a big difference in that final creaminess. And it also kind of balances out the curry too. So I'm gonna add my noodles in here. And this is the fun part. You do not want to take this, and if you could see in here, the noodles are not falling apart. So I'm gonna take this, and I know some of you think that's crazy. You have a lot of room for error here. If you're using a gas burner, maybe don't do this over the gas burner in case you have a little accident, but you don't want to break these noodles up too much. You really want to toss them in that sauce. And you want to cook down, we have some liquid in here. We want to cook down some of that liquid and cook it into the noodles. This is very, very important. My pad thai is probably a little more sauce than most pad thais, but I like mine to have that nice sauce flavor. One little secret too for the pad thai as we finish this up, you can always add a little bit more of that peanut sauce into your pad thai if that's the flavor that you prefer. So if you can see in here, and see with this pan, it's great because it's not flipping all over the place. You have a lot more room. So if you're gonna learn the saute, and a wok is a great thing, but you're just taking it to the edge, kind of lifting up just slightly, and just rolling back. And if you can see, our curry is done. That was a close one. I did not measure that out first. It fit in there perfect, but I feel pretty lucky too. So if you look in here, now we can see this is definitely coming together. Again, my noodles, if I had overcooked them, it would be impossible to do that. So now we're just gonna finish this. And any of these recipes, when you're at home, make sure that you're taking notes on them. Some people like a pad thai with a lot more shrimp, a lot more sauce. Some people like it drier. Just take notes. You can add more of the pad thai noodles or less. Again, I like mine to have a lot of sauce, a lot of flavor, and definitely cooking at the end to add that sauce into the pasta, to me, is very important. So put this in, everything in here. And I put this in this bowl, just kind of spread it out so you can see the shrimp and everything in here. We're gonna put a little bit more peanuts over the top. Yes, we have one more question. Or we can have more than one more question, but we have another question.
The question is, what other vegetables could you add to the curry aside from carrots, potatoes, and zucchini?
That is a great question that I actually have little notes down here that I was gonna bring that up. I prefer, instead of zucchini, I prefer eggplant. Eggplant, but you have to you have to be really careful and put it in really right towards the end. But you can make more of a maximum curry and put pineapple in there if you want a little sweeter flavor. You can put parsnips in there, all different types of vegetables. So it's basically, it's a stew. And just like a stew, you can make it however you like. But I really like the Japanese eggplant is one of my favorites. So we're gonna do a little green onions over the top. And usually, a lot of people would do a little bit of sprouts just on the edge here. And they do that so you can add a little freshness. And a little bit of lime. And then we have our rice too, here. And then our rice, I always like to take it. If you're at home and you want to keep your rice hot, you definitely can just serve this right out of here. If you have guests coming over, maybe make sure that you put it in a really hot bowl. And all these ingredients, like the curry, the beauty of the curry is that can be done a little ahead of time. The rice can be done ahead of time. It has the warm setting on here, keeps the rice nice and hot, finishing this up last minute. And you have a dinner with all of your ingredients ready at the same time. And then you also have your summer rolls, salad rolls. So it makes a great dinner. And I like this meal because it's very easy to kind of get everything done and ready at the same time. So I would like to thank everybody for coming. I would like to mention our Crimson Spoon cookbook. This cookbook was designed, it doesn't have a lot of Thai cooking in here, but it definitely has a lot of recipes from the Pacific Northwest and the Palouse. Showcases our organics farm, our orchard, creamery, cattle ranch, wheat research, honey production. It's an absolutely amazing book, not because it has my name on the cover. The team that helped put this together was absolutely amazing. So I'd like to thank everybody for participating in this tonight. We'd love to hear some feedback. This is kind of our first time with you cooking at home, so we'd really like to hear how it went for you. So please send us feedback and enjoy your feast. Have a good night.